Welcome to the deep dive. If you're like a lot of professionals right now, you probably felt that low hum of anxiety, the one they call the robot curve. It's this rising wave where, automation seems to be challenging just about every task-based role out there.
It really does.
So our mission today is not just to manage that anxiety, but to really leapfrog it. We're doing a deep dive into a fascinating stack of sources to identify these timeless, higher-order abilities that humans need to thrive.
We're talking about meta skills.
Exactly.
And we've pulled together, well, what we think is a foundational strategy for professional resilience. We're looking at insights from people like Marty Neumeier, Scott Adams, Amy and Dell.
David Epstein, a whole range.
A whole range. And we're not just giving you a list of things to do. We're really trying to extract the architectural blueprint for, what success looks like in the next decade.
The goal here is to move completely beyond those temporary skills, the what to do, and to focus on the persistent capabilities, the how to be.
Right.
And meta skills are at the core of that. They aren't just advanced abilities, they're the foundational competencies that catalyze and accelerate every other skill you have.
They're the ultimate multipliers. They really establish the operating system for lifelong adaptation.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Well, let's start with the most critical distinction. When people worry about losing their jobs to AI, what they're really worried about is losing their skills. Things like coding, data entry, basic report writing.
Okay, so the specific tasks.
Exactly. Those are rote, they're task-specific, and honestly, they're temporary. They have a shelf life.
Right.
But meta skills, they're timeless. They are the cognitive chassis that all those temporary skills are built on. So if you master the ability to learn, which is a meta skill, you can pick up dozens of specific software skills really, really quickly.
So the meta skill gives you the speed and the flexibility.
That's it.
Which means the single most crucial ability for surviving in, well, the age of AI has to be how we manage the intelligence itself.
It absolutely is. And this is where we have to talk about metacognition.
Thinking about how we think.
Literally thinking about how we think. If an AI is doing the work, metacognition is that irreplaceable human function that supervises the work.
Okay, give me an example. How does that actually save me from automation?
Okay, think of it this way. An AI can generate complex code or maybe a legal brief from a prompt.
Sure.
But only your human metacognitive ability, your awareness of your own context, your biases, the long-term impact of that output, only that can determine when the AI is subtly wrong. Or when the answer, while it might be technically correct, is strategically a disaster.
I see. So it's not about can the AI do this, it's about supervising it.
It's the shift from asking, can AI do this task, to how does my unique human perspective supervise the AI's output to prevent that subtle, catastrophic mistake? Without that, you're just an input layer for the machine.
So this isn't just about being a talented individual anymore. It's about a whole new professional architecture. Our sources point to this big shift from what they call the genius model to the genius maker model.
That's right. The genius model, that's the one that rewards the person who holds all the static, specialized knowledge.
The expert in the room.
The expert in the room. The genius maker model is all about amplifying capability across the whole organization. Leaders who nurture these architectural abilities, metacognition, systems thinking, learning to learn, they can effectively double their team's capacity without just hiring more people.
It's intellectual compounding.
It is.
But, doesn't that just sound like a bunch of corporate buzzwords?
Yeah.
I mean, is genius maker really any different from just being a good manager?
I think it's fundamentally different because the focus shifts from managing tasks to managing capability. A good manager focuses on efficiency, within the current roles. The genius maker model focuses on maximizing the human ability to evolve those roles. It's a strategic payoff. It comes from making sure your people are always focused on the high-leverage stuff the robot can't touch.
That gives us the context. So now we need the frameworks, the tangible stuff. And Marty Neumeier's 5 talents seems like a great blueprint for the things machines can't replicate.
They're the essential human differentiators, the things that keep you above that robot curve. I'd say they're non-negotiable.
So the first one is feeling. This is empathy, intuition, social intelligence. It's that human connection layer that makes collaboration actually work. The second is seeing, and this is systems thinking, the capacity to see all these separate parts interacting as a dynamic, interconnected whole.
And systems thinking is so crucial. Most specialists, they see a single component, like a marketing campaign budget.
Right, their piece of it.
Their piece. A systems thinker sees how that budget decision ripples out and influences the sales pipeline, the product timeline, and even employee morale, all at the same time. It's connecting the seemingly unconnected.
Okay, next up is dreaming. This is applied imagination, to envision really innovative breakthrough solutions, not just, small tweaks.
Not just iterations.
Then number 4 is making, mastering the design process, prototyping, the ability to take that abstract dream and actually give it tangible form, fast.
And the final one, which Neumeier calls the opposable thumb of meta skills.
I love that phrase.
It's great, isn't it? It's learning. Just the raw ability to teach yourself new, complex skills whenever you need to. If you master that talent, your whole career becomes self-directed. You're adaptable.
That's a really clear professional blueprint. But that shift, the one from making to the ability to learn, that's where we need to bring in a profoundly different layer of depth from Amy Mindell.
Yes. Indell's work forces us to look inward. She argues that the success of all of Neumeier's talents, your ability to dream or make or feel, it all depends on your underlying internal state.
Your psychological state.
Your psychological state. For her, meta skills are less about action and more about these unconscious feeling attitudes.
That's fascinating. The idea that your attitude actually shapes your technical skill. And here's where it gets really interesting. She identifies 7 core attitudes. Things like awareness, trust, spontaneity, spaciousness.
And let's take spaciousness as an example.
Yeah.
Professionally, what this means is the ability to hold conflicting, paradoxical, just overwhelming amounts of information without shutting down.
Okay.
In systems thinking, if you don't have spaciousness, your brain just defaults to simple, specialized answers because it literally can't handle the complexity.
So if you try to apply the technical skill of making a prototype, but you come at it with an attitude of anxiety or distrust.
Right, a lack of trust or relaxation.
The final product is going to be rigid and safe and, well, unoriginal. The internal state comes before the external result.
Precisely. It's the deep psychological architecture that really determines your resilience, especially in high-pressure, human-centric work.
So now that we've defined these foundational skills, both the external ones from Neumeier and the internal ones from Mindell, let's talk about how they multiply value when you combine them.
We need to talk about stacking.
Stacking. And Scott Adams, the creator of Dilbert, he formalized this with his idea of the talent stack.
The talent stack completely shifts the goal. It's no longer about being this monolithic expert in one thing. It's about being uniquely valuable in combination.
Right.
Adams argued that every new skill you acquire, even if you're just average at it,
Just pretty good.
it doubles your odds of success.
And the key is that you don't need to be in the top 1% of any single thing. You just need to be in the top 25% of several skills.
Yeah, a modern example could be someone who stacks, say, decent project management skills with strong basic data visualization ability and a real talent for public speaking.
Okay, I can see that.
That combination creates a niche where there's almost no competition. Nobody else can combine those 3 specific abilities to solve that very specific problem. You're creating asymmetric value.
But I have to push back a little on that. I mean, if I spend my time getting 6 average skills, won't I always be behind the person who spent their 10,000 hours becoming the world's best at one thing?
It's a great question.
What's the real ROI on being a generalist?
And David Epstein's research on range gives us the answer. It depends entirely on the environment.
Okay.
In what Epstein calls kind environments, where the rules are static, feedback is fast, patterns repeat, like in chess or golf, specialization wins every time.
But what about the opposite?
The opposite is what he calls wicked environments, and that's where most of our professional lives are.
Right.
These are places where the rules are hidden, they're always changing, or feedback is delayed and misleading. Think corporate strategy or international politics.
In those wicked environments, the specialist often gets blindsided, right?
Completely blindsided. But the generalist, who sampled broadly early in their career, they develop superior abstract reasoning.
So the ROI for the generalist is this idea of far transfer.
Exactly. Far transfer is the ability to apply lessons you learned in one completely different domain to solve a problem in another. The person who learned piano and took philosophy can apply structural discipline and abstract thinking to a software problem in a way the hyper-specialized programmer just can't.
That early sampling period really maximizes the learning meta skill that Neumeier talked about.
It does, and these are the skills that save us from volatility. Gustavo Rossetti, he centered his framework for this VUCA, world volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous, on 3 pillars.
Which were?
He emphasized self-awareness, creativity, and resilience. And he found that developing genuine self-awareness has a greater positive impact on leadership than an MBA.
Wow.
That should tell you everything. The future value isn't in external credentials, it's in internal clarity.
Which brings us perfectly to the practical stuff, the actionable steps. If self-awareness is the highest leverage move you can make, we have to start there. And the research shows this massive, almost funny blind spot we all have.
It's astounding. Research shows that while 90% of people believe they are highly self-aware,
90%.
only about 15% actually are.
That's a huge gap.
It's a massive cognitive dissonance. That blind spot tells us that the highest leverage skill, the ability to accurately see your own strengths and weaknesses, is the hardest one to self-diagnose. You can't even begin to use these frameworks if you don't know where you truly stand.
And developing that self-awareness is the precursor to metacognition, which is why big institutions like the OECD, with their Learning Compass 2030, are shifting their focus.
They're moving away from just measuring what you know.
Disciplinary knowledge.
And moving toward measuring transformative competencies like agency and, crucially, the ability to learn to learn.
So if education itself is moving toward a meta-skill model, we need practical ways to get there. The old lecture model is out.
It's out. We need methods that are fast and effective.
Okay, so we've pulled 3 clear methods from the sources. First up is just-in-time learning.
Right. Stop trying to learn everything up front.
Just learn what is strictly necessary for the immediate next step. This forces you to apply it, which drastically improves retention.
Next is the 70-30 learning rule. This flips how most people study. Most people spend 70% of their time on theory, 30% on practice.
This rule flips that. 70% of your time should be actively practicing or applying the skill, and only 30% on the theory. It builds muscle memory.
And you get high-quality feedback loops that way.
And finally, to accelerate the whole thing, there's the FAST strategy.
F-A-S-T. It's a great acronym covering the 4 essential steps. F is for away. Forget. Forget your preconceptions. Clear your mental slate. Approach it with a beginner's mind.
Which goes right back to Mendel's idea of spaciousness.
It does. A is for active learning. Take notes, ask questions, engage with the material.
S is for state. You have to maintain a positive emotional state while learning. Your attitude directly impacts memory. If you're stressed, you're literally fighting your own brain.
That's Mendel in practice. And finally, T is for teach. This might be the most powerful step. When you have to explain a concept to someone else, you force your own brain to organize the knowledge and find the gaps in your own understanding.
It turns consumption into creation.
Exactly.
So that gives us a real manual for evolution. We've defined the internal and the external architecture you need to succeed in this complex world.
So what does this all mean? The synthesis here is that the human element is still the primary determinant of resilience. If your job can be coded or outsourced or automated, it probably will be.
But if your career relies on these high-order capabilities, feeling, seeing, dreaming, and learning, if it relies on meta skills, you become indispensable.
The most impactful people in the future won't be defined by their certifications. They'll be defined by their ability to continually multiply, stack, and evolve their capabilities.
They'll have the modern intelligence architecture.
And the real challenge is achieving that unique intersection of value. If the goal isn't static knowledge, but this multiplication of capabilities through the talent stack. Here's the question for you.
Okay.
What 2 seemingly unrelated skills could you stack today? Being happy with just being in the top 25% of each to create unique value that no machine can ever replicate.
That's your high leverage move.
It is.
Think about that intersection, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.